Today I'm going to do a video on how I develop my Homeloads. I'm going to be making up full metal jacket Sierra MatchKing in 224 caliber. The purpose of this is to gain the maximum accuracy through my rifle with as little variation in feet per second as possible, giving me a more consistent round. I'll go through each stage, how I do them, explaining the tools I use as I use them. I'm not saying that this is the way how to do it, this is just the way that I do it. I get really good results through this, and this is the way I'm going to keep on doing it. So here I've got 25 unprepped cases, and I'll be using 5 rounds per different powder measure. When it comes to testing these in the field, what I'm looking for is the 2 powder measures that give me the tightest group, and then I'll work on that 2 loads further to get the group sizes tighter. I'll do a couple of examples of each stage, and then I'll speed up the process just so you don't have to watch every case getting done in real time. So first I'll go ahead and I'll neck size these cases, the Lee decap and die and the neck size and die. So what I'll be doing is running them through here, and the little cap here will be pushing out the old primers. At the same time it'll be neck sizing the case as well. Right, so you basically take the case in the holder. I'll try and do this so you can see it. Run it up through, down, you hear the primer coming out, and that's it. Neck sized. I'm not sure if it'll focus. No, but you can see that the primer's out, and you can see it's black in there with dirt as well. Okay. Do another one in the shell holder, through the die, you hear the primer coming out, and that's it, neck sized and deprimered. Right, now what I'll do is I'll measure the cases, making sure that I'm under the SAMI length for the cases, which is 1.750 for the 223 caliber. What I use for this is just a set of digital calipers here, and what I'm looking for is make sure that they're under the 1.750, and that is 1.743. I'll measure all of these, making sure. What I'll do is all the cases there were actually under. But what I'll do, just for an example, is I'll show you what I use to trim them if it needs to be done. It's a simple tool. This is the Lee case trimming tool. So you unscrew this little part here, unscrew that, and the case slides inside and it tightens up. You can see here it's actually got a part if you want to put it into a drill, a handheld drill or something like that. You can do this. I don't. I prefer to do it all by hand. This tool here goes through the case like this. It clicks in, and then you just turn it like that, and it'll just take away any brass that's too long, trimming it down. But like I said, all of these are under, so none of them need done. What I'll do now is I'll clean out the primer pockets with the primer pocket cleaner, and that'll just get out any of the dirt that's in there and get them all cleaned up properly. This is RCBS primary pocket tool. Really good. So all you do is take the case and the tool, put it inside, and you can hear it all grinding away there. Little blowout. Just keep going till it's all clean. And you might manage to see there the difference from what they were when I first deprimered them. I'm not sure why this is not zooming in, focusing. Oh, there we go. So you can kind of see there that it's a lot cleaner than what it was. I'll take one that's actually not been done yet. So you can see there the one that's clean, because you can actually see the hole there. Right, put that aside, and I'll just get the rest of these done. What I'll do now is use the deburring tool, which is this here. So what you're doing is that goes in the inside of the case, and this one does the outside of the case. There's not a lot of people actually use these. When I was showing how to reload, I was showing this way. Like I said, I get really good results on everything that I do, so I'm just going to keep doing this. It might not need it, it might. I just learned this way, and that's the way that I'll keep on doing it. So really, the way I start off is do the inside first. So you can see this, right? Just a few turns in the inside. I don't think it'll focus. No. But what you're doing is you're just wanting to see a little lip in the inside, and then you just carry on, turn it around, and do the outside. So I'll go ahead and do the rest of these. What I'll do now is the next stage is for priming the cases now. So what I do is this part off. This is the part that catches all the used primers. I'll see if I can zoom this in for you to have a look. Not too much. I did use the Lee hand priming tool before, but it actually broke, and I just used the one that you can use with this press, and again, really good results. Maybe fit that part in there like that. And what I'll do is I'll move the turret here so it's an empty one. and I use CCI primers. I don't use the bench rest ones, I just use the normal 400s small rifle primers. Good results again, wouldn't be changing them now. So what you do with this, I'll just tip them out here. Take the primer and you put that inside the lip in there. It goes inside that lip there. Then you get the case inside the shell holder. You crank it up. Put the priming tool under the case. Down on the lever and push forward. What that does is forces the primer into the pocket. Like that. I'm sorry you can't see this focusing properly. But there you got it anyway, you've got the primer inside the pocket there. And that's that case ready for putting powder in. The different powder measures. And then after that we'll go into the bullet seating. Right, just do one more. So it lifts up, priming tool under the case. Try to do this so you can still see it push the lever up, forcing the primer into the pocket. And I always just give it a little rub like that. Make sure the primer's seated properly. That one wasn't. Didn't get enough pressure on the lever there. Just check that one, that was fine. Okay, I'll get the rest of these done. Right, that's now done. Just pull that pin out of there. Put that away. Put these tools away. Pocket cleaner away. Now what we've got to do is calibrate the scales. These need calibrated every time you turn them on, just so it's accurate when it's dispensing the powder for you. Okay, I'll zoom into this. Too far maybe. There. Turn them on. I always take the lid off because you will get powder coming through into the pan. Take the pan off. Calibrate button. Into cal, push it again, it asks for one of the 50s. Once it's stable for the weight, hit calibrate again. Asks you for the other 50, make it 100. Once that's stable, calibrate again, and that's it. You can just take the weights off, put them back into their holders. I normally wait for it to hit the 0 on here, put the pan back on, and it should read 136.5 grain. That's it. That's the weight of the pan, 136.5 grain. And then I hit 0, change it to 0, and I'll just check my starting powder, which is 25.0. You do here is 25.0, and then hit the dispense button. What you'll notice that I've done here, this little part sticking out of the tube here is actually a straw, and I've put some PVC tape around the straw so it's a tight fit inside the tube. The tube's quite big, and when it's trickling like it's doing just now, I find that the powder gathers up quite a lot, and sometimes it'll trickle and spit out too much powder, and it'll put your weight above what it should be. And a friend of mine actually told me to do this with the straw, and ever since I've had no problems at all with it dispensing the right amount of powder each time. So that's 25.0, perfect. Just zoom back out here and show you this. Take the case, take the little funnel, it just sits inside the case like that. Take the pan, tip it out into the case, and when you put the pan back on the scales, it'll dispense again for you. Once it hits back to 0 on the scales, it'll dispense another one for you of the number that you've put in previously. And again, it's just trickling up a little bit at a time. .0, which is perfect. So what I'll do is I'll be doing 5 of 25.0, and then I'll go up by half a grain to 25.5. Another 5 of them up to 27.0 grain. Once all that's done, I can then go to the bullet seating. What I'll do now is I'll do the bullet seating for these rounds, because they're all different sizes and weight. I don't want to get any of them mixed up, because that'll ruin the process for the testing. So what I'll need to do here is turn the turret to the bullet seating die. Now this is actually set for a different bullet that I homeload, so it will take a little bit of adjustments to get this to where I need it. So it will take a few goes. Take the case and take the bullet. Here it's a Sierra MatchKing, again not in focus. That in here. Unscrew this quite far to start with. It's easier to adjust it to put the bullet in further rather than have to extract the bullet with a kinetic hammer and start all over again. Put the head inside there. And then I'll get the digital calipers again, and I want this to be 2.250. I can already see from this that it's well above 2.300. So I'll take it down, screw this down, put it through again, and keep measuring, just doing a little bit at a time until I get to the 2.250. It's 2.251, so I've got minor adjustments to make. I normally give myself a couple of thou off for tolerances. They don't always come out with 2.250. There might be a couple of thou up and down here and there. It doesn't really make any difference with the accuracy that I can tell. So I normally get it as close as I can to 2.250, but in this case for testing I would prefer if it was bang on 2.250. So that one's fine. So hopefully this is now set. I do sometimes find with the Lee bullet seat and die it's not very consistent. I do sometimes have to adjust down for some rounds and then back up for others. Perfect. Right, what I'll do now is I'll just go through the whole lot of these cases. I won't stop on the different powder measures. There's no point in that. You've pretty much seen how the scales work. So that's that really. Okay, so next stage is the field test.